Welcome to the Explainer. To figure out where a place is headed, sometimes you've got to look back at where it's been. But today, we're going to do things a little differently. We're going to do it in reverse. We're starting in Detroit's North End right now, and then we're going to peel back the layers of its history, one by one. It's this really powerful idea, right? That a community's future is basically written in the stories of its past.
So let's get into it. Our journey today takes us deep into the heart of one of America's truly iconic neighborhoods, Detroit's North End.
Okay, so here we are. Today, if you were to walk around the North End right now, you would feel this incredible, powerful grassroots energy. Seriously, this is not some story about big developers coming in. Nah, this is a place being creatively reshaped from the ground up by the very people who call it home.
And I mean, this renewal is happening everywhere you look. You've got urban farming with the massive Oakland Avenue Urban Farm growing fresh food. You've got culture with the O&E Mile project, bringing art and music back to a historic Main Street. And it's also about preserving history, right? Like the incredible restoration of the legendary Red Shoeshine Parlor. It's a whole vision for a neighborhood, and it's being built by the community for the community.
And this quote, this just says it all, doesn't it? It's from a local artist, Ulysses Newkirk. "Don't come trying to save us. We've been here. We're pretty good at it. We're resilient." Man, that just perfectly captures the spirit. This isn't a story about outside saviors. Nope. It's a story of self-determination. It's about a community that has the strength and the vision to write its own future.
What makes these projects so brilliant is that they're doing two things at once. On one level, they're creating real economic opportunity. We're talking jobs, healthy food, new businesses. But on another level, they are a powerful, loud, and clear celebration of the area's deep cultural roots, especially its incredible history of music and entrepreneurship.
So you gotta wonder, right? Where did all this energy come from? Well, to find out, we have to jump back in time about a decade. Because believe me, none of this happened by accident. It all started with a plan, a blueprint. Okay, so back in 2012 and 2013, these two really important documents came out. Now, these weren't orders from on high or anything like that. They were strategic plans, frameworks that were actually developed with community input. They laid out a real vision for how the North End could rebuild and come back to life.
Let's just zoom in on one specific goal from that 2012 plan. On the surface, it sounds pretty simple. Improve green space. But that one little line, something the residents themselves prioritized, would end up having these huge, powerful consequences.
And this is where it gets really cool. This is where you see the plan become reality. That goal, it led directly to investment in Dolores Bennett Park. And this place was already a beloved local spot that residents, led by an amazing activist named Dolores Bennett, had literally carved out of a dump site way back in 1977. So get this, the plan didn't create the park out of thin air. It empowered the community to build on a legacy they had already started. And this plan, it was seriously comprehensive. I mean, it tackled blight, getting rid of dangerous buildings. It was about stabilizing housing. It created a master plan for all those vacant lots, which, you guessed it, paved the way for the urban farms we see today. It even had these really creative ideas like cash mobs, where everyone would agree to show up and support a local shop all at once. It was a true 360-degree approach to making the neighborhood healthy again.
But that begs the question, right? Why was such a massive plan even necessary? Well, to understand that, we've got to peel back another layer of history. We're going back to the mid-20th century to a period of, a great upheaval that would change this neighborhood forever.
Okay, picture this. It's 1950. The North End is dense, it's vibrant, it's just packed with life. Almost 52,000 people called this small corner of Detroit home. Now keep that number in your head. Because 60 years later, by 2010, that number had plummeted to just over 5,500 people. I mean, that's a staggering loss. Almost 90% of the residents were gone. The numbers just scream the question, what on earth happened here?
Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was like a perfect storm, a cascade of events. First, you had the post-war boom of the suburbs and the slow decline of industrial jobs pulling people away. Then, social tensions just boiled over. You see it in things like the 1966 student walkout over deep inequality in the schools. The '67 rebellion hit the local businesses on Oakland Avenue really hard. And then, to top it all off, a literal scar was carved right through the community when the I-75 freeway was built, just bulldozing homes and physically splitting the neighborhood in two.
And you can literally see the physical scars from all that upheaval right here in the data. As people left, what happens? Buildings get abandoned. Look at this. In 1960, only about 5% of the housing was vacant. Fast forward to 2010, and that number had exploded to 40%. 40! This landscape of decay was the direct result of this long, painful crisis.
Okay, so now we peel back the final layer. We have to go back before the decline, before the crisis. What was this neighborhood in its prime? This is where we find its powerful, foundational identity. Its DNA, really.
Right at the heart of the North End was a place called Milwaukee Junction. And listen, this was not just any industrial zone. This was the cradle of the American auto industry. We're talking about the place where Ford, Packard, and Dodge literally invented the modern world as we know it. The North End was an engine of global innovation.
And an engine like that, it pulls in people from all over the world. You can see this beautiful layering of cultures. In the early 20th century, it was a huge hub for Jewish immigrants coming from Eastern Europe, and it was filled with their synagogues and cultural centers. Then, by the middle of the century, it became a major destination for African-American families migrating from the South, who in turn built their own legendary cultural scene.
And there's nothing that tells this story better than looking at a single building. This right here was once the Beth Moses Synagogue, a cornerstone for the Jewish community. Today, it's the Greater New Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church, an anchor for the neighborhood's Black community. It's the exact same structure, just folding the incredible stories of two different but equally vital chapters of the North End's history.
And oh man, that culture was world famous. The one and only John Lee Hooker wrote his massive hit Boom Boom thinking about his time at the Apex Bar, right there on Oakland Avenue. This wasn't just some local music scene, no way. This was a globally influential hub for jazz and blues. This is where legends like the Temptations cut their teeth. This was where legends were made.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Full circle. Back to the urban farms, the art, the community plans. And here's the most important thing to understand. The amazing renewal happening today is not starting from scratch. It is the next chapter being written on top of this deep foundation of industry, of culture, and just incredible resilience. The past isn't just history here. It's literally the fuel for the future.
So, we've walked through the North End story backwards, haven't we? From today's rebirth to the plans that shaped it, through the crisis that almost broke it, all the way back to the golden age that first defined it. It's this incredible cycle: industry, culture, decline, and now rebirth. And it all leaves us with one final, crucial question. With a foundation this strong, what chapter will this amazing community write next?